There's one gear choice in one corner that's quietly breaking the 2026 formula. Half the grid has tried it. Only one team built their entire car around it. Max Verstappen just binned it in qualifying at Australia.
The four-time world champion bouncing through the gravel, into the wall, and out of qualifying.
Wall, out, done. And the obituaries are already being written. But a driver who crashes in Q1 and still makes the title feel wide open is on a different level entirely. Because 2026 doesn't reward the fastest car. It rewards the driver who manages electricity better than everyone else. Half the engine's total power is now electric. Energy management is the lap time. And Max has a specific technique in the braking zones that's already breaking the formula. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why that makes him untouchable. Let me get straight to what actually changed. mgu-h is gone. mgu-k jumps from 120 kilowatts to 350, and you're left with a genuine 50-50 split between the combustion engine and the electric motor. You already know this. What you need to understand is what it demands from the driver. The fuel load has dropped from 110 kilograms to just 70. Which means there's over a third less fuel in the car than before. You can't just lean on the engine anymore, because the ICE is doing less while the battery is doing more, and every single joule has to be earned before it can be spent. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Every braking zone and every moment of part throttle is now a high-stakes harvest decision. You get bursts of up to 4 megajoules at full output, giving you roughly 11 seconds of maximum electrical power. But you can only use those bursts if the battery actually has the charge. The recovery ceiling is around 8 to 9 megajoules per lap, and you pull it back through braking or lift and coast phases in the corners. If you get it wrong, you arrive at the straight with an empty battery. But if you get it right, you have a weapon. Now, here's the override tool that completely changes overtaking. The leading car's electrical deployment tapers off after 290 kilometers per hour and hits zero near 355. But the following car can use the mgu-k override for full power all the way up to 337. That gives the attacker roughly half a megajoule of extra energy on one straight, making it the new DRS. But unlike DRS, this isn't free, and you have to have the charge banked or you're deploying into nothing. The whole formula rewards efficiency over aggression, and the driver who harvests smarter and manages their state of charge corner by corner controls the whole race. Simply lovely. That driver is Max Verstappen. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for the rest of the grid. Because Max didn't just arrive at 2026 better prepared. He showed up with a technique nobody else had the nerve to try. Something quiet, something small. One gear, one corner. And when the paddock finally noticed what he was doing, the reaction wasn't admiration. It was panic. Picture the Bahrain test. Everyone is cautious. New power unit, new aero. Nobody wants to be the driver who breaks a $100 million car on day one. Engineers are watching every sensor. Drivers are feeling their way in, running the corners the way the simulator said to. Safe, controlled, predictable. And then Max quietly starts doing something different at turn 10. No announcement, no fanfare. Just a gear choice that shouldn't work. And it works every single time. By the second day, engineers from other teams are crowding the timing screens trying to figure out where that delta's coming from. Most drivers approach that corner in second gear because that's what the simulator tells them is safe. But Max drops it down to first, deliberately, consistently, every single lap. Lower gear means higher revs under braking. When those revs spike, the mgu-k spins faster and rips more energy out of the deceleration phase. Then the same low gear fires a massive torque spike from the electrical system the second he touches the throttle. More energy in, more deployment out. One gear choice, two performance gains. Liam Lawson stayed in second in the same Red Bull machinery and looked much calmer on camera, but his energy harvest was nowhere close. And here's what makes this more than just a party trick in one corner. It completely reloads his weapon for the straight that comes next. Let's be clear, this technique is filthy to drive. The engine braking hits like a hammer and the rear wants to swap ends instantly. Most drivers feel that instability and back off. Not Max. He isn't white-knuckling through it. He's managing the chaos with a margin of safety because he isn't at the ragged edge of his own ability. That breathing room is exactly why he can feel what the car is doing in real time and harvest this aggressively without binning it. Which brings us back to the override strategy and how it changes the entire race dynamic. Because Max is banking energy more efficiently through the twisty bits, he arrives at the start of every straight with a much higher state of charge than rivals who are already running on empty. His override windows stay open longer, and his deployment runs deeper into the braking zone, which is exactly how Red Bull designed this power unit to function. The entire concept is built around this high-rev, low-gear rhythm, and they co-designed the hardware around a driver who already does this instinctively. The car and Max are speaking the same language, while everyone else is still looking for a translator. And here's the brutal part. Every team on this grid has seen the data. They know the gear choice. They know the technique. They have the GPS overlays, the onboard footage, and the simulator hours to reverse engineer exactly what Max is doing at turn 10. So why can't they close the gap? Because there's a massive difference between knowing what someone does and actually being able to do it. And that gap is costing them. The first problem isn't data. Every team has got the data. The first problem is the software trap, and most of the grid walks straight into it. Teams are building automated energy maps that fire harvesting sequences at fixed speed thresholds and throttle positions. Consistent, repeatable, and completely blind to what the car is actually doing on that specific lap. When the rear plants a little more firmly than expected through a corner, the map doesn't care. Max does. He senses it and rips more energy out of the moment before the system even registers it happened. Automation is a ceiling. Instinct is not. Alex Albon confirmed that Williams spent serious simulator time on first gear techniques before the season even started. They knew the trick was coming. Then Albon got on the actual tarmac and described it as weird and unorthodox. That gap between knowing and feeling is the whole story. A simulator gives you the data shape of what the car is doing. It does not give you the violent physical shock of a 350 kilowatt torque spike trying to snap the rear sideways at the apex. You can't train your hands for that on a screen. Now, here's where it gets structural, because some manufacturers are fighting this on a hardware level too. The aggressive first gear technique demands that the power unit handles a massive, sudden torque request at low speed without frying the driveline or destabilizing the car. The Red Bull Ford unit was co-designed around exactly this rhythm: high rev, low gear, violent harvest, clean delivery. Other power units weren't built with that sequence as a primary use case. The Audi power unit is brand new and still being calibrated. Mercedes is dealing with a completely revised architecture. Neither was optimized around the idea that the driver would be treating turn 10 like a torque extraction event on every single lap. There's a beautiful irony at the center of this that the FIA probably didn't see coming. The 2026 regulations were a full reset. New power units, new aero, a clean slate designed to level the grid. Instead, the new rules move the goalpost into territory where feel and technique matter more than ever. The reset didn't fix the dominance problem. It just rewrote the job description in a language Max Verstappen already speaks fluently. The 2026 formula isn't just a rule change. It's a playground built for the exact kind of driver Max already is. While the rest of the grid plays catch-up, he's using instincts you simply can't code into an engine map. So drop a comment. Is there anyone who can actually match his energy management, or is this title already decided? Subscribe for the F1 takes nobody else is going to give you.